Hey there, listeners, and welcome back to Fear and Flame Podcast. Just Brooklyn here. I'm actually at the Denver airport, so I thought we'd talk a little bit about some of the Denver airport conspiracies while I'm here. The first of which is the Blue Mustang. On the outside of the airport, they have this huge statue. If you don't know about it, it's a Blue Mustang. The statue is like 32 feet tall, so super big. Can't miss it. It was designed by an artist named Luis Jimenez, and he wanted the horse to symbolize like freedom. It's supposed to look intimidating, muscular. It has exaggerated features, veins, kind of a snarl expression, and then it has a very like vivid blue color painted on it. A lot of people say that it has bright red glowing eyes, and they kind of see it as almost like a demonic figure, cursed. A lot of people say it gives them eerie or creepy vibes. Something very interesting behind the horse, and I think the reason why a lot of people think that it's cursed or have the conspiracy theory surrounding it was that while making the sculpture, it actually fell on him. So a piece of the sculpture fell on top of him, injuring an artery in his leg that he actually later died from. So because of that, he wasn't able to finish the project, so his family and other people that were part of his studio actually had to finish constructing the horse, making it, and then bringing it here and installing it. So a lot of people see the horse and think of death because it killed the artist, so they have the symbolism of it's cursed, it's creepy. Some people think that it kind of can lead to the Four Horsemen, so talking about the apocalypse and death, which kind of ties into some of the other conspiracies behind Denver airport. So we'll kind of go into some of those. When you come into Denver airport, I think around the baggage claim area, there is a mural. This mural is kind of long and it goes through different scenes. It starts out very warlike, so kind of graphic. People have gas masks on. It looks like just destruction of land. So things are wiped out. People are crying. Just looks terrifying. Well, then as it progresses, it moves forward into this other section where it looks very peaceful. It's like all of these different cultures, people holding hands together. It's supposed to be representative, like everyone is one. Well, with this, because of the way that it's made, a lot of people think that it can interpret like a dystopian future. People believe that the painting is supposed to show what would happen if a new world order was brought into play. And people believe that this new world order can actually be found here at the Denver airport underneath the ground. So there's this huge tunnel system underneath, tunnels and caves and bunkers. They have bunkers where a lot of people gather and they think that they gather. So the elite or the New World Order get together. In the underground bunkers and tunnels, a lot of people believe that this network is used for military purposes, whether that be sheltering global elites, people that are part of the New World Order, or just human experimentation, or reptiles. In our caves and tunnels, we talked about reptilian civilization and the reptiles that live underneath the ground.
Of course.
So I don't know how hot a laser from a laser gun has to be, but his insides had to have been cooking.
Yeah.
If he got hit in the abdomen.
He claims that the U.S. government was collaborating with the alien species, particularly reptilians at a secret underground base. So they were working with them low-key.
The reason why they think it's the New World headquarters is because there's some capstones in the airport. So a time capsule that says New World Airport Commission, which is a group that no one can find, doesn't seem to exist. And the airport's location also can kind of lead to that same thought because it's vast. All the underground facilities, people think that there are some buildings underneath the ground that were not demolished. They were actually just buried so that they're used for who knows what. And then also some Masonic symbols. So some people think that there's some Masonic imagery on some plaques that they might think tie into secret societies. So like the Illuminati, which can tie into the New World Order, which can tie into the reptiles, which can tie into all these crazy things. And so everything's supposed to kind of tie together. Something that I really like that the airport does is they can market off of this. So whenever they're doing construction on things or moving things around, they kind of leave like little hints or funny jokes like, oh, we're doing construction for a new restaurant. Or are we? Are we doing something for the government? I thought as I'm kind of going to some of these different places, we'll just talk about some conspiracy theories, ghost stories, little fun things. I'll almost do like a vlog. We'll see. Give it a try, but good to see you guys. Hey there, listeners. It's Brooklyn just checking in. We're in Seattle today, and so I was going to talk about a little bit of a conspiracy theory with Boeing. With us being in Seattle today, we're waiting to get onto our cruise ship, so we'll be boarding it tomorrow, and today we decided that we are going to take the Boeing factory tour. I'm just going to start out by saying that I was in the belly of the beast. It was actually super neat. I really liked the tour, and it was definitely very interesting and kind of cool just to see the production, like manufacturing, how everything goes, the process of it all. They actually asked for it to be a hand-free tour, which just me being myself and being conspiratorial, I was like, why can't we have our phones? Why can't we have our cameras? Why can't we do anything? So basically they had this long list of things that you couldn't bring in. Couldn't have your bag, couldn't have your phone, you couldn't have outside food or drink, which is understandable. They even asked you not to have any writing utensils or notepads or paper. Everything that you had on you had to be left inside of a locker before you could actually go in and join the tour. So we put all of our things in a locker. They bring you into an auditorium, do a short presentation before you get to go and actually see the factory. They take you underneath in their tunnel system before they take you to where you can actually see the floor. It's the biggest one in the world. We went into a couple of the plants. It's all one big one, but everything kind of comes together. We were mainly in, I think, 5 and 6 area. And so you just get to watch. It's a Sunday, so not a lot of workers were there, but they told us the process of how everything is done. While we were in there, we got to see specifically like the different types of planes. And of course, my main interest is the 737s just because of the conspiracies surrounding them. Throughout the tour, the guide said that they're about to start building them at this location due to them not being able to keep up with the demand, which I think they build them at maybe South Carolina or Charleston, somewhere else. They have another plant or another facility where 737s are mostly built, but they're not able to keep up with their orders, so they're going to start building them here in Seattle. Whether that be demand or just 737s are crashing and they gotta replace them. Just kidding. But if you're not familiar with Boeing, they are one of the top companies in the aircraft production. I think they were the top up until Airbus came around. So just within recent years, where they probably moved a second. With them, recently, some crashes that happened were in 2018 and 2019, and these were in the 737 MAX planes. These two flights specifically killed 346 passengers. It's alleged that Boeing and the FAA worked together to rush the 737 MAX through certification. They were trying to compete with Airbus, so they wanted to push the 737s out. That way that they could start making more money, competing with Airbus, and hopefully kind of staying at the top. Well, in doing this, there was a lot of issues with I think it was called the MCAS system. So it's the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. They had some potential dangers or issues with that, and it said that the company withheld safety information to save costs and time, including there being evidence of internal Boeing communication showing negligence and pressure to speed up the process of being certified. The company was just pushing and putting pressure on people to just get these things put out, get the certifications done so that they can start making money and save some time on things. The US Congress actually investigated, and there were other investigations as well. They criticized the FAA and Boeing trying to lead to some reform, so I think some things have been reformed. But this case was just really big with the 2018-2019 crashes, leading them to kind of look into Boeing a little bit more. This aside from the other beliefs on Boeing being involved with the government military, they like to go into some things called like black projects, which is just related to the government and UFOs, possibly even advanced propulsion systems. So they have a lot of contracts that are classified or are considered under the rug that's with the government, and it just kind of leads to further speculation. Obviously, there's nothing that we know for sure, no one can actually say, but there's a lot of speculation around Boeing. They do some of our aircrafts into space and other things, so a lot of people just think that maybe they're related to some of the UFOs and alien investigations. Lastly is the case that a lot of people were talking about with John Barnett. He was a whistleblower, actually a quality manager for the company. He died under some mysterious circumstances. He was said to have taken his own life after raising awareness about Boeing cutting corners on safety and quality to help save money and time for the company. Once again, this is a really big private company, and money and time, big deals to big companies. And so if he was out there kind of whistleblowing, drawing attention to things that they're not doing correctly, it's a possibility that something of malintent. Some people believe that foul play was at hand with this case particularly, which wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but just alleged. This is allegedly, so no one really knows. Overall, it was definitely something super cool to go and see. I would recommend it if you're in Seattle. It is the biggest company doing this. It's definitely interesting, but I just like the conspiracy theories behind everything, and I think it's fun to go and hear about what the tour guides say and then what you hear from the public and what you hear from conspiracy theories. Definitely cool.
That's water from a glacier in Alaska. It was blessed by an Eskimo medicine man. It's cold. Yes, it's always cold. That's why it's so special.
Hey there, Brooklyn checking in. Did you know that Alaska has its own Bermuda Triangle? In a similar way, it's uniquely named the Alaska Triangle. It covers a stretch of desolate land between what was once called Burrow. It's now a name that I cannot pronounce, as we can learn that I don't know how to pronounce things anyways. Juneau and Anchorage. It's been the cause for over 16,000 disappearances with no known explanation. It is said that Alaska overall sees more missing persons per capita than anywhere else in the United States. For the triangle itself, a lot of paranormal anomalies are theorized or discussed as occurring. Some examples are odd disappearances, cryptids or strange creatures, aliens, and abductions, portals, mysterious lights, and native curses. A lot of people say that similar to the Bermuda Triangle, the area too can affect GPS and electronic devices. Locals talk about the region as being able to rearrange itself. Where running water once was, a mountain is now there. Everything there is distorted. Natives even say it's regions where ancient beings reside and no living thing should walk there. A few cases that have been documented in this area are from aircraft disappearances. The first being in 1950 when the Douglas C-54 Skymaster went missing with 44 people on the plane on the way to Montana. There was never a trace of it, no wreckage, no bodies, nothing. In 1972, another aircraft went into the triangle to never be found again. This carried 4 people: the pilot, U.S. House Majority Leader Thomas Hale Boggs, Sr., Alaska Congressman Nick Begeit, and his aide Russell Brown. Search and rescue were applied extensively, lasting over 3,600 hours and spanned over 325,000 square miles. This particular situation led to a lot more of the conspiracy theories, especially relating to the government and the belief that they knew more than they let on, in this occurrence specifically. It is said UFO sightings were high at the time. The last aircraft I'll mention is a bush pilot by the name of Gary M. He had flown over 20 years in the Alaskan skies on a solo trip to a hunting outpost. All of his instruments began going crazy, eventually leading to everything in the aircraft going dead and him crash landing. Luckily, he survived, but the interesting part is that he was found over 300 miles away from his original course. He claims that he never went in that direction and lost all memory after the crash. His watch was also strangely 5 hours behind. Authorities chalk a lot of the disappearances up to the brutal terrain and the weather of Alaska, but many people think other forces are at play. Whether it be creatures like Bigfoot or aliens, portals or native curses, even the ties to regions of government experimentation. Some airspace in the triangle are restricted, records of crashes have been seized and never released, researchers are brought in and taken back out quickly. Just a lot of unexplained incidents in the triangle. I only discussed aircrafts, but there are a lot of plethora of things that have happened and stories that tie to the Alaskan Triangle. So I'm not currently in the Alaskan Triangle, but we're ported right now. I thought the scene was super pretty. You can kind of see these mountains in the background, but it's actually super interesting. I never had heard about the Alaskan Triangle. And then on the way here, obviously I was doing some research and I started a book and it actually talks about the Alaskan Triangle as well. So I just thought this was neat. If you haven't heard about the Alaskan Triangle, I would recommend looking into some of the stories, just people going missing on hikes, probably ships and other boats and things going missing. So definitely interesting, but just wanted to hop in and say hi. So on our cruise, we actually didn't have a ton of time to stop in Juneau. In Juneau, there's a well-known haunted location called the Alaskan Hotel in downtown. It was opened in 1913 and the hotel was built to accommodate miners and travelers during the gold rush. So I actually got to stop by. We were in a big rush, so it was like just us trying to run to a couple things before we got back onto the boat. But I took a picture, so I'll insert that in. But basically, I just am going to go into the biggest haunting that they have. The first occurrences that happened kind of towards the early days of the hotel, and it was in room 219. A woman by the name of Alice died. Whether she took her own life or was killed is speculated. Her husband was a gold miner and left her alone at the hotel. As she waited for him, she grew desperate. She was out of money and would likely be forced out of what was home to her at the time. Due to her circumstances, she decided to try and provide for herself. Unfortunately, prostitution is what she turned to. Eventually, her husband did return and found out that she was doing things that he wasn't happy with. So this is where the speculation comes into play. A lot of people believe that he murdered her, like out of a pure rage from what she was doing. Other people think that maybe she took her own life because she was so ashamed and felt so much guilt. But regardless, room 219 is now said to be where her spirit remains. Guests report cold spots, apparitions, feelings of deep sadness or grief, dread, and the feeling of being watched. They claim that Alice will stand at the foot of their bed, so you might wake up in the middle of the night with Alice standing at the foot of your bed. They also claim that she will turn on the bathroom faucets, and some even check out of the room early because they're so afraid. The hotel has some other ghost stories. There was one of, I don't know if it was a soldier or someone in the Marines or something, went and checked into a room, and this is not too long ago, not sure exact years, but he had checked in and people heard like screaming and banging from his room. So they went to go check on him, and there was like blood on the wall, and he'd actually jumped out of the window of the hotel or off the balcony, very seriously injured. He didn't die, so I'm not quite sure what happened. I think he didn't remember anything, but people were just really alarmed because they didn't understand why blood was on the wall. I don't think he had like cuts or anything before he jumped off the balcony, but weird story. So lots of weird things occur, and there's other ghost stories that go on. The biggest is of Alice and room 219. So I thought I would share about that. The other story that I was gonna look into was the Nantinnuk, but a lot of people have covered that, and we might do like a deeper dive on it in one of our podcast sessions. So we'll see if the boys want to talk about that in the future, but excited to share this with you guys, and I'll be seeing you later.